Good evening, Anne Arundel County. Good evening, America. Welcome to Promoting Community, Conversation, and Discovery. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Now, it's kind of funny. The weather has been warm, cool, warm, cool. We're supposed to get a little rain this weekend. But overall, I think very exciting. We have a great show planned for you this evening, or today, that is, depending on what time you watch that is. Let's start off, though, with some upcoming announcements. So this weekend, the play. I'm probably going to watch this, go to the Sunny show. It's called The Crucible. I remember this one when I was a kid. It's the story of the Salem witch hunts and trials that actually happened hundreds of years ago in Massachusetts. They really happened. Uh, the classic theater is actually located on 1864 West Street in Annapolis. It's for pay event. You might want to check your times. But there's about 6 shows coming up starting, I think, Thursday night. So you might want to check that out. Now, this is our last announcement for the screening of The Decision. We're running this at 2 o'clock over at John Wesley United Methodist Church in the annex over there. Tickets are $10. It is a fundraiser for the church. Just a quick rundown. The Decision. This is a story of a young, phenomenal athlete. He is at a Division I school. He's a quarterback, and he has a clear shot to the NFL. But something happens at the school where he has to question moral clarity, and he is not happy with the behavior of the school. So he decides to leave the school and go to a historically Black college and university. Hampton, yes, that historically Black college and university. And there's a little drama in there, but it's well done. $10, so about 135, 140. And you can get tickets, refreshments, popcorn, and sodas are being served. So I think everyone who comes will have a good time. And after, we plan on having a Q&A with some of the producers of the movie. Also, it's never too early to announce Ferndale Day. The third Saturday of May is the 18th, and the people over there, the Greater Ferndale Community Civic Association, have been working on making Ferndale happen. In fact, the promo should be ready soon. I've already sent it out for post-production. Check it out. We had a great time last year with the perfect storm. Businesses were there. We had the involvement of all the community, and everyone just had a great time. Of course, we had great weather. That's a big deal, right? So fingers crossed on that. Okay, let's take a look at our affiliates. These are the people who air our shows for us. We are so thankful for them. We start off right here in AAC TV. That's in right here in Glen Burnie. Thank you for airing our shows. Greenbelt Cable Access in PG County. Thank you for airing our shows. Amherst Media in Amherst, Massachusetts. Thank you for airing our shows. Manhattan Neighborhood Network in the Big Apple. Thank you for airing our show. You know, they have like 5 different stations all associated with the cable access up there. Then we have Brunswick TV3 in Brunswick, Maine. Thank you for airing our show. Now, we've already sent over, because we finished it last Saturday, Talking Tech with Friends 2. And it's doing pretty well on the Sprizzy ad campaign. And we know all of these stations are going to run it because I've reached out to all of them. So we had a lot of fun with this one. We had a lot of fun with this particular episode. We want to continue to do creative, innovative programming. That's part of what the Glen Burnie Players are about. Important TV. References. These are people who we can't do this show without. So that's people like Wikipedia, Google Images. And this week, Popular Mechanics. You'll see what that's about in a moment. We want to thank our sponsor / underwriter, that is the Cleaning Chef. More information is available for them in the credits. Now, we want to start off with our most admired. And again, I say, why didn't I cover this person earlier? We've done a lot of shows. It's a long list. There's a long list. But you know, if there's a long list, that means you like people, you admire people. That's a good thing, I think. So, you know, this person is kind of the first in his genre, really. There probably were a few before him. Now, you have people in the scary monster genre, and my favorite there was Vincent Price. He was the king of that, right? Number one. But this is science fi. This is sci-fi. And we're just going to go ahead and bring them up right now. Two, we're talking about no one other than the great Leonard Nimoy, Leonard Simon Nimoy. Leonard was born 3/26, 1931. He died 2/27, 2015. Born in Boston, Massachusetts. He died in Los Angeles, California. He was an actor, author, director, singer. He was just a great man of the arts, quite frankly. Uh, two children, Adam and looks like Julie. Um, Now he's one of these guys who knew what he wanted to do right away. He knew what he wanted to do right away. He started acting early, early. Um, and he was doing the theater, you name it, he was doing it. People recognized him, but he made a detour. He was already out in Los Angeles, California, where it was happening, but he made a detour. Perhaps things were not happening as well as they could have happened. I believe he was married at this time, but he made a detour to the U.S. Army. He served from 1953 to 1955, and he rose to the rank of staff sergeant. That's an E6. So, this guy could have had a full military career. 3 years, 2 to 3 years, became staff sergeant. Who's to say he couldn't have been a sergeant major? He was a skilled guy. But you know what? He knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to act. He had an incredible voice. So, like I said, he's doing all these acting jobs. He's getting small roles in TV. He did a little bit of sci-fi early. I think I've seen, what's that show? I think I've seen him in Outer Limits. So he did a little sci-fi. He also teamed with a young William Shatner, and they worked with a uh, Gene Roddenberry on a show called The Lieutenant. Maybe there was only one or two episodes aired, I'm not sure, but they knew each other. So when Gene Roddenberry wanted to do his Cowboys in Space, yes, Star Trek, he knew about Leonard Nimoy. He knew he needed Leonard Nimoy. They did the first pilot with a different actor. Forget his name right now. And it was a fine pilot, but the money dried up. The network, which I believe was NBC, said no, no, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work. Gene Roddenberry works. He fights. He fights. He works. He gets another bite at the apple. But now he needs a new leading man. It was Leonard Nimoy who suggested William Shatner, and the rest is history. The show ran originally for 3 years. There was nothing like it in television ever before. Nothing like it. There were some sci-fi movies, sci-fi shows. Serial Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon is the one that comes to mind, but there was nothing like Star Trek. Nothing like it. They dealt with so many themes in so many different ways. And Leonard Nimoy creates his character, Spock, this cerebral guy who's super smart and he's super brilliant and he can think through all kinds of issues. He was their science officer, but he could engineer when he needed to engineer, not stepping on Scotty's toes, of course. Uh, he was just phenomenal. He was just phenomenal. So he was Spock for 50 years. 50 years. Show ran for 3 years. After the show ended, they did 2 years of he did another show for 2 years, Mission Impossible, which is a very good show. It was a very good show. And then he was always busy. He had an incredible voice. He was always in demand. One of the shows that he did, one of my favorite early shows of this genre, was In Search of, trying to find out what happened to folks. I remember the episode on Amelia Earhart. I remember that one. That was very good. I remember reading this somewhere, not for this research, but at some point, he was in England and he started seeing all these cheesy Star Trek replicas. And it told him two things. It told him, one, they needed to get control of the franchise. I think by that time, Paramount had bought them from Desilu Productions. And two, they needed to be active. And I don't think he invented the idea, but the best way to be active was to do these shows. Now, I'm not talking about on television, but have the actors show up because you had a fan base there and develop that fan base. And that happened fairly early. I don't know if he invented it, but it happened fairly early. It happened fairly early. And then, of course, one of the things that really made Star Trek move more than anything else uh, was Star Wars. Because Star Wars came out in, I think it was 76, and it just tore him up. It just tore him up. It was incredible. And now he's talking. He's talking to Shatner. Maybe he's talking to Nichelle Nichols. Maybe he's talking to Scotty, James Doolan, um, and of course Bones, DeForest Kelly. He's talking to these guys, and they're saying, we got to do this. We got to do this. And they did the first one. I'm getting a little off script right now. They did the first one, and it was just too surreal. It was too slow. It just didn't happen. And they spent a lot of money. And I think they actually made money on it, not a lot. But when you spend a lot of money, you want to make a lot of money. And that's when they said, we got to go back to where Star Trek was at its best. When was Star Trek at its best? A lot of those bests were at the battle scenes. And they brought back, yes, Khan. Ricardo Montalban as Khan. And to this day, that might be the greatest return on investment of all time. That movie cost them, I believe, $10 million to make, and it made $100 million. It's still in rotation. You can still Google it and watch it on the tube. It was that well done. Now, like everything else, I think the original cast did like 6 movies. There were like 3 that were excellent, 1 or 2 that were a little shaky, and 1 or 2 that was fair. That's the way it is. Like the Stones. You're only going to be able to do so many great albums. But Leonard Nimoy, man, he was, and when he was at his best in Star Trek, when he was employing humor, and he said stuff was deadpan, and you're cracking up. But remember, Vulcans don't have emotions except when they're half human. The guy. I mean, the guy was everything. Leonard Nimoy. I still catch the show from time to time. Sometimes I catch it on MeTV. If they're not airing it, sometimes if I got the time, I just Google up an original episode. So yeah, one of the all-time greats. Live long and prosper. Okay, something of consequence regarding Anne Arundel County. So this is going to be a bit of a two-parter. We're actually talking about the Annapolis Amish Market. It's located on Annapolis Harbor Center and Solomon Islands Road. It's open during regular hours, closed on Sundays. They have lots of neat things to eat in there, fresh produce. They do their own farming, as you can see. Very fresh meat. Nice little restaurant in there. When I would go there, I'd always get a BLT. Or if I wasn't going to stay there and I just had time to get a sub, this is my days in Annapolis. When it would get warmer, that is, we'd go over there, and for $3, I could get a nice big roast beef sub, right? Just half a sub, because all we needed, and some of their homemade chips for $3. I never bought anything to drink. I just ate the food. It was delicious, delicious. So there's actually, and this is going to kind of flow together. Give me a second to develop it. So there's 3 Amish communities in Maryland. There's one in the Eastern Shore in a place called Cecilton that was founded in 1999. One in Southern Maryland called near Mechanicsville, and another one in Charlotte Hall, and then in Western Maryland in Oakland. Now, I was wondering which one did this work here at Annapolis, but I don't think any of them do. I think this is from the PA Dutch farm market. When we think of the Dutch, we think of the Amish and the Mennonites for that matter, we think of Pennsylvania. And there's a reason for that, because I was looking through their history. The Amish did not support slavery. And Maryland was a slave state. It was a border state, but it was a slave state. They allowed slavery. So that's why they didn't come here till later. A little bit more about the Amish and a little bit about a little bit about the Mennonites too, because that's another religious sect, right? What we know about them is they're very old-fashioned. Both these groups, they wear very simple clothes. I think they make them themselves. But there are some differences. Now, before I get to the difference, let's talk about where they come from. So the Amish were born in the Mennonites, and I'll read this right from this, I believe it's Wikipedia. The Amish and the Mennonites are both part of the Anabaptist tradition, but they differ in their beliefs, practices, and technology. Now, the Anabaptist tradition actually comes out of the Reformation movement in Europe, and these folks are kind of they're descendants of the German and Swiss people. In a place, part of the places in places actually in France right now. So a lot of the folks are very similar. The background that is, they left. Why do people leave? They leave for because of religious persecution, you know, freedom or opportunities. Now, the Amish are more traditional and they're more conservative, with a focus on simplicity and separation from the world. The Mennonites, on the other hand, are more diverse, with the variations across different groups and congregations. It said that the Mennonites are more accepting of technology. Um, they're and both these groups are very religious, and from what I understand, for the most part, they try to stay out of affairs that may not involve them. They don't think involved in political affairs. They tend not to be involved in those types of things. Um, I know they make a great sub though. There's been some shows. My wife watches some crazy stuff. There was some show about people who are Amish leaving, and you know, um, I don't know. Like I said, I never really watched that stuff. But yeah, so they're in Annapolis, and they're nice people, and they make great subs, great BLT. And one of my favorites that I buy like once a year is I go down there and get those chocolate dipped strawberries. Oh, you're talking about good, man. Mm, mm, mm. So, so it's one of the things I wanted to do here. And I don't know if I can actually set it up here because I was having some difficulty. So I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to type one last thing in. Just give me one moment, folks. History and lore. They kind of rated them. So we're just going to look at the ships, and I'll name the directory. Here is the original Enterprise. Beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful lines. Kind of like a, kind of like a, uh, original Chevy Impala. Just beautiful lines. That was a 1701. It takes a little while to scroll them down here. Now here's a NCC 1701B. I didn't particularly care for that one, to be honest with you. I'm just going to keep this scrolling down, okay? I didn't particularly care for that one. Let me show a movie that was in. Here's the NX01. I think this is the one they used in the Enterprise when they redid it with Scott Bakula as the captain. I liked that genre. I think they did a pretty good job on that. And we continue to scroll. Hopefully, no inappropriate pictures here. Sometimes the internet does some things that they shouldn't do. Here's the NCC 1701D. This is the one I guess they're using now for this Picard thing. You know, I love Patrick Stewart, but you know what I mean? I mean, he's done it for so long. That's when all the money's chasing, one guy, right? That's not a good idea, I don't think. I wish I could do this for you a little faster, folks. Here's the 1701A coming up. That was in Wrath of Khan, I think. Yeah, that was in Wrath of Khan. And let's see what else they got here. I know there's some more ships. Here we go. Here's a 1701E. This is probably Generations. Yeah, that's probably Generations. A little dark for me. I mean the styling's a little dark, you know. You're not trying to fly a demon ship. You're trying to fly a ship of exploration that can go to uh, battle if necessary. That one's a little dark for me. Yeah, I thought that was Picard. Here's a 1701C. I think this is also Generations. This is the original from Generations. This was I thought nicely done. I thought this was pretty good. And they borrowed it from. There's always been an Enterprise. There's always been ships called Enterprise, Navy ships called Enterprise. I don't know if we're at the end yet or not. I think there's one more. Here's 1701D. Yeah, that's also Generations. That was okay. Again, a little dark, but okay. I think that might be the last one. Oh, and here's when they redid the movie. And yeah, yes, this is 1701, but they redid it for the movie. They gave it some fun. They funked it up a little bit. They made it a little funky. I think that might be the last one. So I think we're going to go ahead and stop the share at this point. Okay. So again, exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Big takeaway, right? Talking tech with friends too is done. So this is a good opportunity because when we have one right now, I just sent another one out. Very excited about this one. Um, it's going to be another of the community conversations and discovery in that series. And we're be working pretty hard on the adventures of Hourback. So we still have to finish up some scripting from that. Maybe 2 months out on that one, I'm not quite sure. But we have some new material again, and that's what's exciting. So for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name's Anthony. Until next time, bye bye.